listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
This is Patricia Mary, and for the next hour, I will be reading from the Saturday, Sunday, November 29th and 30th issue of Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From the front page of Off Duty, enough with ratty sweatpants and sad slippers. This winter, cozy up without giving up on style. A woman's guide to upgrading hibernation looks, with tips from designer Eileen Fisher, a former Vogue editor-in-chief, and other stylish experts. And this is by Lauren Meschling. This September, celebrity stylist Kate Young touched down at Charles de Gaulle Airport in time for Paris Fashion Week. Zipped over to the Toronto Film Festival to help Scarlett Johansson get red carpet ready, and sported her finest feathers to a dinner party hosted by Chanel in New York. But the day that stands out to Young as the most heavenly in recent memory is the one she spent at home, bundled up in her cozy Tory Burch cashmere tracksuit and trusty slippers. The most luxurious outfit in her opinion? Something that is just for me, she said. Many of us aspire to a decadent loungewear wardrobe of cream-colored cashmere worthy of Cameron Diaz in The Holiday. In practice, the outfits we throw on in the privacy of our own living rooms are usually an afterthought. A Frankenstein monster mismatch of fleece, stretch sweats, and seen better days oversized tees. This winter, why not consider an upgrade? By no means are we suggesting a wholesale overhaul. If you want to hold on to your beloved tie-dye t-shirt, nobody's stopping you. But with the long, dark days upon us, reworking your hibernation wardrobe with a few carefully chosen pieces and styling strategies will benefit your closet and your mood. Ready to toss those mismatched socks from 2001? Read on for how to master the art of at-home dressing, featuring advice from Young, one self-described wintrovert, and 5 other fashion lovers, designers, editors, and writers ready to offer pro tips for staying stylish in the months ahead. First off, what exactly is a winning hibernation look? You know that ratty concert t-shirt and old pair of sweats you've been weirdly attached to? That's what it isn't. We hate to say it, but they scared the delivery man, and it's time to say goodbye. The same goes for workout clothes with elastics that's gone bad and those fraying slippers. Got anything else that's worn out and makes you feel frumpy? Bye-bye. The golden rule, home is where the heart is, and home clothes and self-respect should be bedfellows. If you don't want to get bored of your at-home wardrobe, then don't fill it with boring pieces. Jess Graves, a fashion writer who identifies as a wintrovert, calls her preferred mode of dressing slob chic, a term that's been bouncing around TikTok. It's about not sacrificing style for comfort, she says. 2 things can be true at once. Designer Eileen Fisher, 75, favors pieces that are loose, drapery, and designed for double duty, taking her from yoga to a nature walk and cozying up indoors. For Milan-based designer J.J. Martin, at-home dressing means a strategic high-low mix. She'll wear a pair of nothing to write home about sweatpants, but top them with an intrinsically embroidered wool poncho. It's warm as a sleeping bag, and I can fold it up into a blanket to sit on when I meditate, she says of the multitasking top. This all sounds really nice. How do I join the Cozy Club? Fabric and fit are key, and comfort is the name of the game. There's no room for anything that itches, squeezes, or fails to bring you joy. Be just judicious about zippers or too many buttons. You don't want a button that might decide to suddenly pop, said Joan Julette Bulk, 77, a writer and former editor of French Vogue, who now lives in New York's Hudson Valley. Some fabrics to avoid for optimal lounging: denim and synthetic fabrics, which can feel cold and unwelcoming. Another tip from the pros: many websites let you search by fabric. Cotton, cashmere, organic velour, merino wool, and silk are all great bets. While sophisticated muted hues are classic, a strategic spot of color, be it a sweatshirt or fun slippers, can buoy your mood. Susie Condi's cult favorite velour suit comes in vibrant shades like mustard yellow and Provence blue. Buck swears by her stockpile of vintage Missoni knits. You can start your own by scouring eBay for great deals. I refuse to stop wearing sweatpants and slippers. Is there any hope for me? Queen of cozy dressing Fisher's top tips: upgrade basic pieces like a sweatshirt with an elevated, fresh silhouette. If you're wearing a top in a sweatshirt fabric, but it has a funnel neck or polo collar, then it doesn't look like a sweatshirt, Fisher says. She added, wide cut and billowing sweatpants read more sophisticated than a regular pair of joggers. When it comes to slippers, liberate yourself from the terry cloth pair that your uncle gave you once upon a Christmas tree. Statement footwear isn't just for peacocking in public. Some options: load up on fabulous slouchy socks and pair them with soft-soled unstructured loafers or ballet flats. Go up half a size so they slip on comfortably. Patchwork mules, beaded moccasins, or a glamorous velvet smoking slipper can similarly glam up an outfit. Make sure you choose a pair that's easy to slip on and off without having to bend down every time. Classic Nordic sock patterns won't lean too juvenile. Andre Wilstein, 44, founder of Wilstein's clothing boutique, is partial to socks from Japanese brand Rototo, which are thick enough to slip the slippers altogether. To skip the slippers altogether. When I have to go outside, I just slip on my Birkenstocks and I'm all set, she says. If I'm going to invest in just one piece, what should it be? 3 words: buy a robe. 3 more words: a fabulous one. When you're wearing leggings and a t-shirt and it's after dinner and you're reading or watching TV, it's so nice to put on a beautiful robe, says Buck. Beware anything that reaches the floor where it might sweep up crumbs. Moths eat away at spots where they detect food, she warned. When you set out to find your robe, think beyond standard issue terry cloth or cotton, which are functional but hardly elegant. Silk and merino wool, both temperature regulating fabrics, are great if you tend to run hot or like to keep your thermostat on high. Don't be afraid to go bold with your topper. I love drama, and my pink silk robe makes me feel like a movie star from the 1930s, says Emily Fisher, a Brooklyn Pilates instructor of one of the four robes she owns. If you're looking for optimal levels of cozy, bring on the cashmere and alpaca. The Elder Statesman, a Los Angeles knitwear brand, makes striking striped robes in baby alpaca and cashmere. If you don't want to go full length, split the difference and try a robe inspired wrapped cardigan. When companies drop by unexpectedly, swap the sweats for jeans and you're all set. Nothing is as inviting as the sight of a woman wearing comfortable jeans and a pretty robe she just threw on as a top layer, says Martin. It's intimate since it's not an outside outfit, but it's also respectful of everybody in the room. What outside clothing can I strategically integrate into my home wardrobe so I don't have to buy new pieces? Look to transitional items that are soft and forgiving. Beloved cardigans, knit skirts with elastic waists, quilted jackets that look smart on autumn hikes but feel snugly on snowy days. Cassandra Gray, 48, founder of beauty store Violet Gray, likes pairing her late husband's oversized dress shirts and cashmere sweaters with black Wolford tights. I feel like a dancer when I do that, she says. I'm all in and now just want to wear pajamas all day. How do I make sleepwear feel more polished? Now we're talking. Silk PJs aren't only for bedtime. You want to go for a pair in a sturdy silk twill, a fabric that won't flop around like most silks do. A darker color like navy or burgundy will be more forgiving of accidental daytime spills. If friends pop by, there's no need to scramble for a wardrobe change. To avoid channeling Rip Van Winkle, pair your pajama pants with a well constructed loafer or ballet flat, says Martin. When looking to dress up sleepwear for daytime, your accessories really matter, stresses Graves. Gold jewelry, such as a statement necklace, is an easy way to add polish. It's about paying attention to your socks or throwing on a fabulous pair of earrings, Graves says. Are you really suggesting that I spend serious money on clothing that I don't plan to wear in public? Yes, strategically, yes. It might sound counterintuitive, but why would you deprive yourself of a few items that you love and will love yourself in for years, not seasons to come? The investment should go into the everyday item that you're going to wear so much more than a dress you get for a gala, says Westerland. On a more brass tack level, well built home clothes tend to outlast their more public facing counterparts. My cashmere sweats don't really see a lot of wear and tear, so they don't wear out, says Young, who is also partial to pull on bottoms from the row. And they don't care if your body changes, they'll always fit. When shopping for the great indoors, you'll never regret sizing up. The last thing you want to lounge around in? Anything that feels remotely confining, but you're inclined to keep wearing because it was expensive. Another tip to keep in mind, there's no reason to amass drawers overflowing with loungewear. A few strategic investments are the goal. Basic like tank tops, t-shirts, and socks need not be pricey. Focus instead on hard-wearing hero items. You can put together a starter cozy capsule collection with 6 or so pieces, says Westerland. If you're clever about it, the total price can stay in the three digits. We're listening to the reading of articles and features from Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Fashion for the men. So many men layer white tees under overshirts. You can do better. We get it. A crisp white tee looks good peeking out of a shirt jacket. It's also pretty boring. How to upgrade your outfit with other pieces in your closet. And this is by Charlie Teasdale. When asked to describe your male client's wardrobes, Sarah Gilfan listed chinos, shades of navy, gray, black, and white, and loads of overshirts, the shirt jacket hybrids. Nearly everyone's dressing casual now, says the London-based personal stylist who works largely with men and guys in tech. Sound familiar? Whether for work or play, many men default to the same outfit formulas. Most commonly, a white crew neck t-shirt under a hefty overshirt, the casual model equivalent of the button-down and blazer. Though fail-safe pairing, it can get a little tired. The good news, you needn't buy a load of stuff to freshen up the look. If you switch up the combos, you can do plenty with what you already own. Start your satirical shakeup by embracing what we're calling the No White T-Shirt Challenge. Next time you reach for an overshirt, resist the white tee impulse and try a horizontal striped tee underneath. Many guys already have one in the locker. A classic blue and white Brenton stripe catches the eye but doesn't overwhelm it and wears well with denim, khaki, and sage green. Do you usually pair a navy blazer or denim overshirt with a white tee? A Benton will do the same job with more oomph. For the office, Jabari Abizi, who works in talent acquisitions in Atlanta, throws a black, red, and white striped tee under an informal khaki suit. The 32-year-old, who describes his style as easy but a little interesting, will also tuck a Benton striped tee into jeans or pair a graphic tee with chinos. If you're using graphic tees as a base layer, err on the subtle side. Try a faded band tee or design with a simple illustration. While trying a new outfit combo, snap a photo for reference. Abiza advises. You needn't take a photo every time you go to the grocery store, he says, but it helps to generally keep track of things that work and things that don't. Another way to avoid the white tee, chuck a darker t-shirt under an overshirt, jacket, or sweater in the same color family. Navy or charcoal are always safe bets. Gilligan recently styled a client in a brown t-shirt and a rust-colored button-down. Monochromatic looks can skew boring, though. To avoid that, vary the textures. She suggests layering a leather jacket or a fuzzy cardigan over a tee in the same shade. While styling monochromatic looks in general, mix textures via fabrics like corduroy, Oxford tweed, and suede, advises Elliot Dupre, a New York management consultant and men's style content creator. Want some zing? Finish a tone-on-tone outfit with a contrasting pop of color. Gilligan recently dressed a client in a navy look punctuated with green Autry sneakers. It might seem counterintuitive, but an overshirt can look cool layered over another collared shirt. When doubling up on shirts, pick an overshirt that's heavier or more rigid, closer to a jacket. To help further distinguish the overshirt from the base one, Gillifren suggests a design with larger pockets on the chest and hips. For the base, grab an Oxford cloth button down rather than a crisp business shirt. If it's cold outside, consider sneaking a thin turtleneck under the two shirts for an extra punch. Another non-tee alternative, try a thin sweater, say a fawn merino, wool, or cashmere design, as a base layer under a blazer or overshirt. For an on-trend flourish, dig out your ties. Fashion-forward guys are embracing the corporate accessory, though crucially styling it casually. Actor Jonathan Bailey caused a stir in October when he wore a shirt and tie under a half-zip sweater and blue jeans to a Dior fashion show. Singer Joe Jonas turned similarly easy staples into a winning look for a recent Good Morning America visit. Elsewhere, ties are popping up under denim jackets, leather bombers, wool cardigans, basically anything but a suit jacket. An easy to replicate outfit, a white button down, a striped repped tie, jeans, and a plain heavy cotton overshirt in lieu of a sport coat. Finish with sneakers or dressier shoes. Brown suede would be ideal. If the casual tie look feels too out there for you, don't go there. The goal is subtle evolution, not dramatic reinvention. So try a few things out, safe in the knowledge that your trusty white tee will be there when you need it. A better base. A Benton stripe tee can easily replace a white tee as a less routine lace bayer. One of the easiest ways to look stylish, combine a navy tee, overshirt, and pants with contrasting textures. For added punch, finish with a bright fisherman beanie. The main takeaway here, a Oxford shirt can look great under a heavier overshirt. If it's cold, consider a thin turtleneck as a base. Enjoy your wardrobe. A traveler's tale. I've traveled on hundreds of sleeper trains, but I'll never forget my first. A writer reflects on how, as a child, a sleeper train crossing South India awakens a passion for life on the rails. More than 30 years later, trains remain her favorite way to see the world, and her name is Monisha Rashish. I was 9 when I first rode an Indian sleeper train, shaking out the bedding provided in a brown paper bag. I watched my fellow passengers make up their berths, tucking in starched sheets with the ease of seasoned travelers. Tufts of cotton wool pressed into each ear to keep out the noise and cold. They chained their cases with bike locks, pulled their ankles into cross-legged positions, and dealt out playing cards and savory snacks as the train clattered out of the city. The year was 1991, and my surgeon parents had made the decision to move our family from the UK to Madras, in the southern state of Tamil Nadu, where they met in medical college before emigrating to the UK. Raised in Yorkshire in the north of England, I'd gone from a bay window view of the Derbyshire Dales to a balcony view of the Bay of Bengal, and I missed my old bedroom, my classmates, my pair of Syrian hamsters. Above all, I missed my brother. 4 years older than me, he was dispatched to an American boarding school in Kodamil, a hill station scattered across the crevices of the Panali Hills, the eastern stretch of the Western Ghats mountain range. Getting there by car involved a treacherous 10-hour drive past trucks with their noses down in ditches. We opted instead for the Pandarin Express, a sleeper train that departed Madras Station after dinner, creaking into Kodai Road at dawn. Within weeks of arriving, I loathed Madras. With rats stole the padding from my earphones, the humidity left me weak, and men tailed my mother in traffic, desperate to buy our imported car. But the train, livered in light blue and with barred windows, offered an escape. From a window seat, I watched the platform glide away as vendors shoved gossipy magazines through the bars. The sounds of sandal slapping as porters jumped down from open doorways and the deep horn of departure instilled a sense of calm. Settling in with a series of clanks and thumps, the train would warn through the guts of the city, and I bade farewell to the neon billboards, pink evening skies, and crows sidestepping on power lines, holding my breath as the stench of the Kumar River hung heavily in the air. By 9 p.m., the lights were out. No iPhone glows disturbed the darkness, just snores and the thud of wheels, the occasional whoosh of a passing train tilting us to one side. The smell of fields being burned in preparation for the next crop cycle filtered in, and I lie cocooned in the itchy blankets. Lovingly known as the lifeline of a nation, Indian Railways was my lifeline too, as it pulled me away from the frenzy of Madras towards Kokandal, where clouds drifted into windows. The damp air smelled of eucalyptus, and my brother appeared unchanged, but for a gold stud now gleaming in one ear. 2 years later, we moved back to the UK, and I forgot about those trains until 2010, when I returned to spend a few months exploring the country. I felt no shame in admitting I had come to India as a tourist, curious to see everything from Aswan's tea estates and the Golden Temple at dawn to Kerala's backwaters, Mumbai's cargo street food stalls, and the Taj Mahal by moonlight. I bought an Indian rail pass, which for $530 offered 90 days of unlimited train travel, more than enough, I thought, to immerse myself in the bloodstream of the country. I started my familiar I started at my familiar old station, now named Chennai Egmore. At first, it seemed like very little had changed. The blue berths with sponge poking out where the vinyl covering had ripped, the hawkers selling freshly fried okra and photocopied books, the toilets down which I could see the tracks rush by. For weeks, I hopped on and off trains in different states and soon realized that my initial assessment was wrong. Something had changed. The trains no longer felt like a novel escape. They were starting to feel comfortably familiar. Originally envisioned as a means to an end, the express trains, steam trains, and mail trains quickly became the focus of my journey. The cities and towns like crowding smooth around the tracks. On board, boundaries dissolved as fellow passengers asked about my star sign and my blood type, along with probing questions about my surname in an effort to deduce my caste and creed. I played their games like ping pong, returning their quick-fired questions. Every time I jumped onto the platform, I felt exposed, vulnerable in my new surroundings, but reassured by the knowledge that the sway and warmth of community awaited on the train. The 4 month period changed my life. Indian Railways lit a fire in my belly, and since then I've ridden more than 200 trains around the world, cutting through the Kunlun Mountains in the Tibetan Plateau, dodging banana leaves flapping through the windows on the Reunification Express in Vietnam, and watching Norway's midnight sun blaze on the Nordland line to Bodo. Now, no matter where I am in the world, as I slide up to the window and watch the platform fall away, I feel the comfort of coming home. From the food and drink page, these new school ciders are so right for the holiday table. Just choice is no longer wine versus beer for festive gatherings. These ciders suit drinkers looking for lower alcohol or just a dry, elegant drink that's easy to love. And this is by Joshua M. Bernstein. As the weather chills and the calendar fills with festivities, I reach for hard apple cider. Complex, gently fizzy hard ciders, diverse in flavor and gluten-free, with about half the alcohol of wine, are my celebration essentials, no matter the company or the culinary spread. It drinks much like a wine, but it's more approachable like a beer, says Andrew Blake, the founder of Blake's Beverage Company in Armada, Michigan. A classic reborn. Call it a return to tradition. Beloved in colonial America, hard cider lost favor in the mid-19th century as crisp lagers ascended. The temperance movement and the prohibition felled cider apple trees. For much of the 20th century, cider became synonymous with sweet juice. Fine cedar is not that, says Carrie Williams, the owner and head cider maker at Snow Cap Cider in Cedar Edge, Colorado. The high elevation cidery uses estate grown heirloom apples like Dabinet to make single variety ciders with singular territories. These, Williams says, can get wine drinkers interested in cider. Rosy fleshed apple cultivators like Pink Pearl and Airly Red Flesh make elegant rosé-like ciders such as Glow from Appian Fire Cider in Port Townsend, Washington. Drinking pink cider is so much fun, says Emily Ritchie, the executive director of the Northwest Cider Association. The flavor you get is more akin to berries. Cideries are also embracing popular cultivars such as Cosmic Crisp, found in Two Towns Cider House subtly tart Cosmic Crisp, and the Honey Crisp apple. It's a name most people know at grocery stores, says Eddie Vernon, the president of family-owned Peak and Skip apple orchards in Lafayette, New York, makers of the 1911 established ciders. Name recognition tends to translate to sales. 1911's best-selling cider is its Honeycrisp, made with orchard-grown apples and now sold in cans. The packaging shift has helped make the cider more mainstream and popular, Brennan says. Permitted fruit. With sales of beer, wine, and spirits sagging, cider is a rare, bright spot. According to research from beverage industry data provider Three Tier Beverages, regional cider sales grew more than 4% in the last year, an increase driven largely by ciders flavored with additional fruits. Finn River Farm and Cidery in Washington infuses its apple ciders with tart and earthly native black currants, blueberries, and aronia berries. The approach emphasizes their cider's sense of place. You'll never see a pineapple or guava cider from Finn River because they don't grow in the Pacific Northwest, says Amanda, Finn River's CEO. Yonder Cider in Wachiti, Washington takes inspiration for cocktails to create ciders such as the Greyhound like Sunny Slope, with pink grapefruit and lemon verbena. Founder and CEO Caitlin deems the Negroni-ish Cashmere, a cranberry cider with dark cherry and bitter orange peel, a particularly good fit for the holidays. It evokes the warm, wintry feeling and vibe. 5 festive ciders for your holiday table. Barman City Company Mountain Rosé. It's 6.9 alcohol. The 2024 Northwest Cider Cup. This rosé-like cider from Oregon won Best in Show. Made from pink-fleshed Arley red, aka mountain rose apples, the off-dry drink is fermented with white wine yeast and aged in French oak barrels for tannic complexity. It costs $28 for a 750 milliliter bottle. This one is in a can. 1911 established Honeycrisp. Beacon Skip Apple Orchards in Lafayette, New York grows the Honeycrisp apples for the sweet and juicy crowd pleaser. The orchard also uses Honeycrisp apples to make its infused heirloom ciders. And it's $56 for 12 16-ounce cans. Another can is the Yonder Cider Cashmere. This Washington cider model on the Negroni combines Pacific Northwest apples with cherries, cranberries, and bitter orange peels. A complex cider with enough of a tart kick to enliven any cocktail hour. And it's $42 for 12 16-ounce cans. Another can is the Finn River Farm and Cidery Bloom. Sorry about the phone call. The Finn River Farm and Cidery Bloom. Another can is the Finn River makes a sparkling semi-dry cider from high acidic organic apples, including Granny Smith and Pink Ladies. Blueberry sweeten it and lend a lovely reddish hue. Try it with apple pie, and it's $18 for a 750 milliliter bottle. Snow-capped cider Harrison. The Harrison apple nearly vanished in the 20th century, but now grows in one of the world's highest elevated orchards at Colorado Snow-capped. This elegant drink balances subtle sweetness, tannins, citrus, and ginger, and it's $56 for 2 750 milliliter bottles. Enjoy your apple cider. A recipe from the food and drink page. This mushroom recipe will be your holiday table MVP. You want to have this mushroom sugo on hand always, especially over the next month or so. Rich with cream and a good glug of white wine, the savory stew works equally well as a side dish or a vegetarian main. And this is by Ian Cowder. For decades now, I've considered myself a committed cheffophile. I don't know about that word. I learned to forage fungi in my 20s, wandering the woods of my home state, Pennsylvania, July through October, figuring out which were toxic and which were delicious. At a farmer's market, mushrooms are still the thing I guarantee to gravitate to. And they are always on my Thanksgiving table in one form or another. It wasn't until a couple of years ago, however, that I really leveled up to pro status when it comes to mushroom cooking. While waiting out construction on the kitchen at the cooking school I run, I found myself in need of a job. Luckily, a nearby chef was hiring for his new restaurant. Cal Peternell moved back to the area after decades-long stint at the famed Che's Paniche in Berkeley, California. His restaurant, Fin Bar, in Frenchtown, New Jersey, is a 12-minute drive from my house. Figuring I might be able to learn a thing or two from an industry legend, I worked as a line cook at Finn Bar for about a year and a half until I could open my own kitchen this summer, and I did indeed learn a lot. Crucially, I discovered I wasn't using nearly enough wine or cream when I stewed mushrooms. More than once, when I was put in charge of making the mushroom sugo for the Finbar kitchen, Cal would taste the stew and start boiling white wine in a skillet to add to it, correcting the acidic balance of the dish. Not a little bit of white wine either. The same went for the cream. I learned the right proportions and finally consistency nailed it. The Finbar mushroom sugo uses 25 pounds of mushroom and a gallon each of wine and cream. The proportion in the mushroom sugo recipe I share here echoes that. The other great takeaway from how Cal uses the mushroom sugo, which is to say any and every way imaginable, this savory sugo is wonderfully tossed with pasta and a handful of herbs, or baked into a lasagna, or served with eggs for breakfast, or added to chicken stock to make an earthy autumnal soup. Since my days in the Finbar kitchen, there is constantly a quart of mushroom sugo in my refrigerator at home to be used in any number of applications. I'll be serving it as a side of more than one holiday gathering. If you're expecting vegetarian guests at your own table, I highly recommend it as a meatless main over polenta. This is the recipe for mushroom sugo, inspired by a recipe in constant rotation at Finbar, Cal Peternell's New Jersey restaurant. This schmovy sauce does it all. Toss it with pasta, pour it over polenta or eggs, stuff it inside a cannoli, or just eat it straight out of the refrigerator with a spoon at midnight. You can swap in almost any other kind of mushroom you have for the buttons called for in the recipe. Just cut them evenly into about 1-inch dice. The time is 45 minutes and it serves 6 to 8 people. The ingredients are 1 large carrot, peeled and roughly chopped, 1 celery stalk, roughly chopped, 1 onion, roughly chopped, 4 tablespoons unsalted butter, 1 cup of water, salt and freshly ground black pepper, 2 pounds of button mushrooms, quartered, 1½ cups of dry white wine, 1½ cups of heavy cream, 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme chopped, chopped parsley to garnish. Make the mirepoix. In a food processor, pulse carrots, celery, and onions to finely chopped. In a large, heavy skillet over medium heat, melt butter. Stir in the mirepoix, water, and 1½ teaspoons of salt. Simmer, stirring occasionally until liquid evaporates and vegetables are tender, about 12 minutes. Meanwhile, pulse half the mushrooms in the food processor to finely chop. Quarter or halve remaining mushrooms. Once mirepoix is tender, add all mushrooms and wine and bring to a boil. Cook, stir occasionally until liquid is almost gone, 15 to 20 minutes. Stir in cream and thyme and simmer until reduced by half, 8 to 10 minutes. Season with salt and pepper. Serve over pasta, polenta, toast, or whatever sounds like a delicious match for the sugo. Garnish with parsley. On Wine by Letty Teague. The 5 best wines to bring to the party this holiday season, guaranteed not to be re-gifted. These are the bottles our wine expert recommends for different types of wine drinkers, from the natural wine neophyte to the California Cabernet Cabernet diehard. Again, this is Letty T. It's the holiday season, this time of the year when we gift bottles of wine to family, friends, and favored business associates. Then, of course, there's a crowded calendar of holiday parties to attend, and the attendant social pressure to bring bottles that aptly acknowledge the host's generosity and also accord with their individual tastes. How to ensure the wine you choose will actually please its recipient and not be promptly regifted to somebody else? First and foremost, do your homework. Determine what sort of wine drinker your giftee might be. A California Cabernet drinker likely won't be thrilled to receive a natty red from Portugal. Your Sanquerie loving sister might be less pleased by its neighbor Polyfoon and though Barolo, especially one that's well aged, ranks among the greatest Italian reds, your Italian wine loving friend might prefer something that's drinkable right away. The following 5 wines are not only sure to please their proposed recipients and others besides, they represent great value as well. If anyone in my family or circle of friends might be reading this, please note I'd be happy to receive any or all of these. For the natural wine curious, the 2024 Port Not Cool Barrida Tinto, and it costs $19. It's the Portuguese winemaker Dirk Porto has a talent for producing interesting wines and ports. Roughly a dozen years ago, he took note of the growing demand for easy drinking, low alcohol wines and decided to try making one from the Baga grape of Barada. Wines from this grape usually skew tannic, even fierce, but the Porto version is the opposite. Darkly fruity, slightly funky, fairly low in alcohol, and very approachable. Indeed, approachable, naturally made wines are what Neaporte had in mind when he launched the Nat Cool line. I would happily hand off this Nat Cool Red to a hip young friend with the advice to serve it slightly chilled. The 20-something wine salesman who sold me my bottle declared it was one of his favorites. Drink me, the label commands. It's remarkably easy to do just that. For the wine lover resolute on Team Sacré, the 2025 Claude Labouche Sacré, which sells for $42 a bottle. Many wine drinkers, including me, find the very good Sauvignon Blancs produced in Loire Valley a Patel like Quincy. But for true Sacré lovers, nothing else will do. Over the years, more than one sommelier has told me that when it comes to the cost of Sacré, it's spelled Sancerre. The sky is practically the limit. Its fans are willing to pay just about any price by the bottle or glass. Is it the name, the soft, approachable style, or just some je ne sais quoi? It's yes, and yes, and yes. This bottling is sourced from several parcels in the Las Bocas vineyard and made by Claude Refault's son, widely recognized as a Sacré's rising star. Certainly not overpriced, it over-delivers all the Sacré Sauvignists the wine's most ardently admirers seek. Aged in stainless steel and natural oak, it's dry and well balanced, with a bright but not overly assertive acidity, deft mineralogy, pleasingly delicate persistence in the mouth. For the classic California Cabernet fan, there is the 2019 Stone Street Estate Cabernet Sauvignon. Costs $60 a bottle. It's from the Napa Valley, California. It's justly famous for its Cabernet Sauvignon and almost as famous for the 3 and 4 figure prices that wines can command. For some very good, merely two-figure Cabernets, look to Sonoma, right next door. Stone Street Estate Vineyards, located in Sonoma's Alexander Valley, just west of Napa County and northeast of Edelsburg, with views of the mountain range, was founded by the late Jesse Jackson of Kendall Jackson fame and Barbara Banke in 1995. Their son, Chris Jackson, now runs it. Stone Street is also the name of the Jackson family thoroughbred farm in Kentucky. The estate cab is a blend of various vineyard sites within the Alexander Valley, some of them high elevations. Its core is all plush red and dark fruit and aromas of blackberry spice, according to Stone Street winemaker Christina Schlidler. And the fruit and the tannin integration starts to unfold 3 to 4 years from bottling, which means it's drinking well right now. That said, it could be cellared for a few years. To keep in mind, the winery regularly releases earlier vintages of their estate Cabernet. The 2016 Stone Street Estate Cabernet is available now on the winery website. For the ardent Italophile, the 2022 COSD Victoria, which sells for $27. Barolo, Barbasco, and Brunello might be the greatest of all Italian red wines, but they can be quite pricey, not to mention forbidding in their youth, requiring years, if not decades, to soften. This red blend of Frappato and Neo Avolo from the sprawling appellation in southern Sicily can be consumed right away and is wonderfully food friendly. The Victoria is the only region in Sicily with the DOCG status, and the CO has long been one of the top producers within the region and in Sicily overall. Their take on red is a silky, toothsome wine with soft tannins, bright acidity, and the nose of bitter cherry. Cirillo means cherry-like and spice. It's pretty much terrific with just about anything. Bonus, the handsome bottle, based on a bottle shape used in Sicily centuries ago. For anyone whose tastes you're not sure of, always do champagne. The Brut Reserve non-vintage white full champagne sells for $50. For wine drinkers with mysterious preferences, I suggest a bottle of champagne, but not an overly famous or esoteric one. And while few sure bets exist in the world, wine-related or otherwise, the Pole Ranger Brut Reserve non-vintage white full champagne has long been one of mine. It's just consistently good, perhaps why Pole Ranger, a 176-year-old family-owned champagne house, was the favorite of Sir Winston Churchill. The loyal patronage of the great British statesman led the Roger family to name a prestigious cavee after him, creating the Pole Roger Sir Winston Churchill Cuvée in 1975. It's considered one of the top champagne cuvées in the world, and the cost 6 or 7 times as much as the Pole Roger Brut Rosé Reserve. Made from equal parts Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, the Brut Reserve is a creamy and lush yet French with bright notes of citrus and orange peel. It's dry but not bone dry, a wine to please a wide range of palates. It's to serve Pole Roger Brut Rosé champagne to die-hard champagne lovers and those who aren't big fans of fizz, and both have held out their glasses for more. For slow food fast, for a vegetarian dish, mujadara with spiced yogurt and cucumber tomato salad. It takes 35 minutes and it serves 4 to 6 people. And the ingredients are 7.5 cups of water, 1 cup of beluga lentils, 1 sprig of fresh thyme, 1 yellow onion halved, sliced thin, kosher salt, 4 tablespoons of butter, 1 cup of Fido noodles, Fideo, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of burrata spice, Baharat, 2 cups of jasmine rice, rinsed, 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1 cup of Greek yogurt, 3 cloves of garlic, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 to 3 Parisian cucumbers sliced in half moons, 2 cups of cherry tomatoes, a half of red onions thinly sliced, 10 mint leaves, 1 tablespoon of pomegranate molasses, a half a tablespoon of sumac, and a half a tablespoon of zatara, ZA-ATAR. The directions: in a medium pot, combine 3 cups of water with the lentils, thyme, and a half of the onion. Bring to a boil, then simmer until tender, 12 to 15 minutes. Drain, discard onions, and season lentils with salt. Spread lentils on baking sheet to cool. Meanwhile, finely dice remaining half the onion. Melt butter in a large pot over medium heat. Add noodles, season with cumin and burrata. Saute until golden, then stir in diced onions. Season with salt and cook until onions are translucent. Add 4.5 cups of water and a pinch of salt. Bring to a simmer, stir in rice and reduce heat to low. Cover and simmer until rice is fluffy, about 15 minutes. Let rice cool slightly, at least 5 minutes, before gently folding in cooked lentils. Meanwhile, combine oil and sliced onions in a medium pan over medium heat. Saute until caramelized, about 10 minutes. Season with salt. In a small bowl, combine yogurt, garlic, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. In another bowl, combine tomatoes, cucumbers, red onions, mint, pomegranate molasses, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, sumac, and za'atar. Toss. Enjoy. You've been listening to the reading of articles and features from Saturday, Sunday, November 29th and 30th issue of Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal. We read from Off Duty every Saturday at 6 p.m. Your reader has been Patricia Mary. God bless. Thank you for listening, and be safe out there.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have Harper's Magazine at 8 o'clock. We have Sports Illustrated. At 9 o'clock, we have The Athletic, a section of the New York Times. Stay with us for these readings and more through the rest of the evening. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision,